Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art Matters New York. I'm here with my colleague, Hans Witschi.
Good day.
And Marie, Marcia, Aldona, Barbara, and Phyllis are here with us. You see the name Bruno Jakob on the screen, possibly. That's because today we have a special presentation by the artist, painter, and conceptual artist, Bruno Jakob, and his collaborator, Hans Witschi. So I think you'll find this extremely interesting and a very lively and interesting discussion. I'm sure will take place after we see a short film of the work of Bruno Jakob. So stay tuned.
Hallo. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Very nice. There's so much to talk about, to think about. It's very layered, it's very rich, a lot of references. I mean, a lot of continuity with the art world that we all inhabit. It's very much a part of the language of art, as well as many, many other things. But it's in that context, I think, that we can begin to think about it, or we can think about it however we want to think about it. Does anyone want to jump in and say something?
I loved especially how the viewers were part of the final artwork. So the art viewers, and I thought that was so interesting. And, you know, and even just hearing some of the sounds like the birds chirping in one point, and, you know, that really, you know, it really affected me. And also the beautiful reflections throughout the entire video, the ones in the piano and in the water. It just added such a depth to the video. And I love how it's really about the process in a way, but then the video is really the final work. So it's really, really interesting to me.
The question is, I mean, it's obvious that Hans, you're not just a supporting player, you're not just an accompanist, you're not just, you know, playing arbitrary, even though it's improvisational, it's not arbitrary what you're doing. So my question is, do you see these performances as being equal, like you're both having equal participation? Or, you know what I mean? Because I always formerly thought of this as Bruno's work, you know, what he does. But now I'm thinking that it really is a kind of an equal collaboration, just like, you know, any two artists, you know, Gilbert and George or however, you know, present themselves as a single, two people doing a single thing. So I'm asking you how you guys perceive your collaboration.
When you started 20 years ago, what?
Yeah, I was always in his apartment, doing something. And then I heard he did this music always, learning or whatever. And then sometimes I have my artwork here, some brushes on paper. And then I find out, so around 94, I got the camera from the film crew, an old, as a new camera, but anyway, at that time, a little bit old. And I started to recording his music at the same time what I painted with water or with energy. And that's what we started together here in his apartment. And then around maybe sometime I was invited in exhibition, and I try to do and ask for money that Hans can a separate money package as we can go to Switzerland and Europe or whatever, and a part of the music of my performance. And sometime we had the budget, and sometimes they invited Hans and me together. Then we have this grand piano or whatever. And then we started, he plays his music and I paint my artwork. And he don't know what I'm doing and I don't know what he's playing.
Oh.
You know,
Sure.
I mean, and then I was coming somehow together. He knows maybe when I lift the hot plates or then he knows maybe he can play slower or faster or something. But then we started. We have sometime in an exhibition 2-3 rooms, and then I going in my room and the piano was somewhere else, and the music was traveling through the building. Especially in Kolumba was the fall. It was amazing in the museum in Cologne. I was somewhere else, and I heard this music. It was so different. I don't know if the sound was coming today really well. Each one in our space was not so good. But anyway, or in Luzern, in the new museum, there was like, he was playing in a big room and my installation was somewhere else's. And the music wasn't traveling the whole, to 7-8 rooms, what they have, big ones in Luzern. And it's always a different space. Or in Grossmuenster, in Grossmuenster. I was downstairs in the Krypta, and he was upstairs in the big church, in the main church.
Right.
And he was playing there, and he don't know what they doing. And I heard sometimes his music traveling. And yeah, that was always, or here in his place, upstairs on the roof, and he's playing down there. And then I don't know what he's playing, and I don't know, yeah, what he's doing.
Still,
No,
but still, it's
a collaboration, yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is amazing. So you heard him,
Amazing.
but he did not see what you were doing.
Yeah.
For God's
Yeah.
sake, you are clairvoyant, Hans.
I would, what I think is, you know, when you talk to filmmakers, you know, when you talk about music, they say always, oh, this is very complicated because you need to know exactly what's going on, and then this music piece has to be there, and this note and everything. And I think what we prove is this is absolutely untrue. You can put any music and each scene on a movie, and it works all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you could do it.
It's absolutely, and that's what we're doing. I compare always, you know, the thing like with the bird and the cloud, you know, you see. So it's like you see a bird, it's beautiful, the cloud is beautiful. But both of these two things don't know about each other. But you, as Christine maybe said before, you as the observer or the witness of what happens, you find certain things beautiful about it. You know, it makes, you know, it's
Right.
in a way. And in
Wow.
that sense, you know,
It's
we are,
about existence, right?
yes,
It is
yes,
about
yes,
existence.
right, yeah.
It's
It's basically also like
very, very.
if you would compare it to painting, let's say abstract painting, you put a red color here and a yellow or a blue here, and it's just beautiful.
And
You know
how
what
did
I'm
it get
saying, or whatever, you know. Or you think it's not beautiful because it's, or maybe you think it's boring. They should be mixed or whatever. But I mean, you know, it's like they are equal, in a way equal in that sense, you know.
But are they unified?
Yes.
Mhm.
And then what I think in a way, you know, we talked sometime about how is it that, you know, I'm sure you would have chosen maybe David Bowie as your
And he was Thank
no,
you.
but you know what I'm saying? Exactly, there was no way to do that. So he took my music.
You know, because it's an interesting pairing of your kind of music and Bruno's, visual and, performative activity. It's not an obvious pairing. If I were to just see Bruno's, just the visual alone, right? And I would imagine a soundtrack or an accompaniment, I would think of something more, let's say, Cajun, right? More percussive, let's say, more abstract.
Like ding, plong, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
exactly. That would be the kind of the obvious
Mhm.
thing. So
Right.
you're bringing something very romantic, very emotive,
Yeah.
somewhat, romantic, very tonal. It's
Mhm.
from a different place in a way,
Right.
and which is very interesting. It creates a whole new thing.
Of course, I had also some jazz, which you know, but then I have many musical structures, harmonical structures, which
You switch.
which could be just sort of neoclassic minimalism or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which just subtly changes harmony, but it keeps carrying you. You know, you are. Probably my music could be very, let's say, we both things support each other, because you can say Bruno's paintings are unfinished paintings. We don't see anything. He's just, you know, like simulating or whatever painting. And my music would be the same problem, because if it's, you know, if there is something missing, you don't know what you have heard if it's finished, you know. But you saw that there were some movements which kept you going, listening, or, you know, but it's not really a piece you would remember, you know, what you heard. You don't know what you have. When it's gone, it's gone. The music is gone.
It's
you know?
like the consciousness of the mind.
Yeah, you know, and that's maybe where we are similar. He's in his visual, and I'm in the audio world in a way.
Well, it's all kind of improvisational.
Yes.
It moves, it flows. It has no particular, you know, destination.
No end. It
Right.
doesn't come to a crescendo. Has no beginning, no end.
It's like
ephemeral, just
Yes.
as Bruno's paintings are ephemeral.
yes.
It's got
I actually think that you actually accomplished making music more like art. You brought them closer together in that they neither of them have an end product that you can see or hold anymore. It was just in the moment.
I love that.
Well, modern music is that way.
Yeah, I'd like to. I thought that the performance was phenomenal, and I've seen it a couple of times now. And what's interesting is that it becomes more interesting to me. And what I love about it is that it makes me want to see what Bruno's saying. Like you took me through a visual journey. And I like what Phyllis said. You put us in this like very interesting feel in the space. And I think Hans' music helps, you know, with that movement. And I have a couple of questions. What, from your perspective, what is it that you would like to have us as the viewers understand about your art? You know, what is it that you're trying to say to us?
That's it.
I'll let you. Go ahead.
I started as a painter in the young years, and I feel I'm still a painter, and I'm still make paintings. And what I see in my paintings, the movement and the ephemerality that's disappearing, and I like to have, in a weird way, my own control over my paintings. When I started maybe with 20 or 24, when I was in art school or in people are talking about art, it's always other people judging the art. And I was like, what? It's only in the art world we're judging mostly. And then I think, well, is this a good or a bad painting? But it's always other people tell the thing, the art critics, especially the art critics.
Yeah.
And I think, well, that's not true. What I can do without a judgment from another person as an art critic can judge 100 artists. But I'm the Bruno Jakob. I'm the only one, you know, each. And then when I was growing up on a farm and in Switzerland, and then I see as a child, you have always this, the food is coming and going as it's growing up, and then it's disappeared, you sell it, and then it's gone. You have proof, or you don't have proof. I'm always dealing with the system with proof and not proof. And then I feel like it can be interesting, something, you know, the rain, you see the raindrops, and then it's raining and it's wet. And then the sun is coming, And then and then it's dry again. Then you see it's disappearing in a natural way.
Mm.
And it's not, when I painted in a long times ago, red and green monochrome painting. On top of them, I painted with water. But then you see the ground is yellow or green or whatever they choose at that time. And the picture, when the wet picture is disappearing, you see only green or red with the eye. But I paint a physical, real images. And on the end, I don't care anymore if they're personally pictures or abstract or figurative. I choose any kind, what I like. I use typeface, you saw it, some in the film. I can write touch or brainwaves and sometimes when I paint with water on paper, then I take the brush away, and then I finish the painting with my brainwaves. Then I see maybe a form, a circle, I paint with my brainwave, not anymore with the brush. Or I paint with the camera, complete, or something else.
Are you reacting off each other, even though it's not rehearsed?
I would say unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we never ever rehearsed anything.
No.
You understand? We are just doing it.
Yeah.
This is the most important thing in a way.
Right.
Anything when we would make a script, then happens this and this. I think that the fun would be over and the whole thing would die.
Yeah.
Or you know, because it's not it's not a scripted thing. And that's the most. But we usually also do, which is sometimes hard, you know, that there is not a real beginning, meaning you know, we like it's already in progress when people coming. So you know, it's not like, oh, now it's 7. Oh, now it's, you know, it's not a theater. It's not a concert. It is something that is continuum. You know, you mentioned, you know, to emphasize that is actually important. That means it's going on, and you have to leave. You have to decide. Now I had enough for whatever, you know, and not there is no a second intermission and then a second one, or you know, usually, you know what I'm saying? It's just going on, and you know, and you dive in and
dive in. That's what I mentioned.
That's actually.
While you're playing, Hans, are you watching Bruno?
Not really.
No, and
I usually
listening to Hans.
I mean, I'm sure he's listening, but he's so absorbed with his invisible painting that he forgets listening too. You know, I think he
bad boy.
In terms of the hot pot, why are you heating up water? What is the significance of that?
Well, I mean, that goes for me. I paint them with hot water.
Oh, everything you
steam. Sometimes you see it in performance. They use the steam onto the thing. I like the idea. A lot of people boiling water for tea or what, and then it's the steam. I like the steam, how it disappears and goes onto the paper or into the room, or in a space, or in an atmosphere, or whatever. It's gone. It's another color or material or something, you know.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes I'm walking around behind his back on Hans's, I mean, with the hot water.
I saw that,
it's hard does it not make a misstep or something.
Yeah, when he
and-
did that the first time, I thought, oh, he's not happy about my playing. Pretty, you know, it's a threat in a way, you know.
You know, the beautiful thing to me about the vapor is that it's almost as if the painting is becoming part of the atmosphere in the room.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting as well.
Yeah,
Everything counts. The audience counts, the chandeliers count, the pots count.
yeah, in a weird way. It's like
I think
I have-
important to mention is also that the camera is not documenting really. It is like more a third eye.
yeah.
I love
No,
that.
it,
I think
it
you-
is it's not just documenting, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
It's
It's
more like
looking.
it's like a brush as well.
Brush. Yeah, it's a brush.
You know,
It's a brush.
it is something.
It's an extension of the brush.
Yes, in a way. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's like
an extension of
a
the
contemporary
An
Yeah.
important.
manifestation of what the brush was for hundreds of years.
yeah.
Well, silence constructs a latent sculpture.
Yes, that's what I did. I like, sometimes I see that more as a sculpture. Maybe that's a cult, you know, I
Well, you can, yeah.
open it. As a painter, I open it. Can be a sculpture this time. I make the decision, this maybe looks like more a sculpture than a painting. Some others looks like more a painting for a lot of people, you know.
But Bruno, Man Ray took the energy of light.
Yeah.
And put objects on paper and just exposed it to the light.
Yeah.
You're exposing the paper to the light and your brain.
Yeah, sometimes. When I'm watching out of the window, I collect this energy from a person or from a leaf, from a tree onto the paper. I was
Sure.
just
Got-
watching. And
I mean,
that's what I felt maybe a little bit the energy theory or brain, it can be everything then, of course. I know it's then a little bit maybe too easy sometimes or so.
Easy? No, very not
I
easy.
have,
Very-
I did one time what I call 7 days of death. I nursed my mother in Switzerland. I was already here in New York, and she was dying around cancer. And the doctor told her, oh, she has only 1 month to live. And I went to Switzerland and I nursed her. And the last 7 days I have 10 paintings prepared, framed, and I asked her, brown color. I asked her a little bit what kind. I know her, what she likes for color at that time. And she was dying at home in the farmhouse. And then the last 7 days, I holding in front of her bed my canvas, take her energy onto the canvas. That was a very personal and direct thing. Interact from,
It's extraordinary.
in my case, especially when I was young, I never talked in the school, and they always make drawings, and I was more a visual artist than a talker or whatever. And you know, I see some. I was sometimes too late in the school because I see a beautiful field with yellow flowers, and I was standing there and looking this monochrome landscape. And
It's called
then
day.
it was too late in the school. I was.
Awesome.
I saw that you can paint beautifully, you know, from the last performance.
Yeah.
And not this one, but we saw, you know, some of your paintings,
Oh,
which were
Exactly.
Mark, they were exquisite, those paintings. And yeah, it was just beautiful. And am I right? Some of the paintings at the end, weren't they yours, Hans? The girl?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it was in my studio.
Oh, okay, yeah. They're beautiful.
Because there was the show in Bergamo, we not can travel because the pandemic, and they invited this, and then we wanted somewhere else, but then a little bit the technical problem, and we decided we're doing here, Hans, it's now this thing, and we need to do it here, and whatever you have here, and when I move around, they can integrate his paintings too. It's a something new. I see everything a little bit more new all the time. I don't know why.
Even
Either way, it's old. I see with my eyes, it's always new. When I was invited there in the Venice Biennale, when she told me this main curator, oh, Bruno, I like to have you in the Tintoretto room.
Oh,
Tintoretto, and
that's cool.
oh yes, and I was a little bit confused at that time when she left. I was Googling who, I don't remember.
Who was Tintoretto?
Who was the Tintoretto? I don't know what kind of painting he did. I know he's from there. I'm from 15th hundred.
It was new to him.
Yeah, and I was going. And then I remember, because I never studied. That helps me. I never studied historical art history. I never did that. I can go now back. I enjoy all things, but I have my view in my thing, in my. Now I can go in Metropolitan and see old stuff. Now I see through my eyes and not on a curator's view or not on
I think Tintoretto was very revolutionary.
He was.
For some imagery and so on. And that's probably the reason why the PJ Kuriger, the curator of that Venice Biennale exhibition, put you together, you know, because she thought that also a bit revolutionary to have this invisible painting.
You know, all of the, I believe that all of the frescoes and the paintings in the church in St. Mark's in Venice are all Tintoretto. And they're huge. They cover an expansive space, and they're very liberated. He painted very gesturally, just, you know, which would be similar to what you do, Bruno, with just, it's a lot of free, so maybe that's why, maybe that was the connection.
First, she put me in a different room with a photographer. You know, I need to make a little bit of proposal, and she said, oh, Bruno, you know, can get one single room. You need, mostly artists need to share a space with somebody. And then she had a photographer, he died early in the 90s or whatever, and then know what he's doing. I was like, oh yes, yeah, why not? It makes sense. And then suddenly, when she was here in New York, she called me up and thought, oh, Bruno, it will be better, maybe you. And okay, I think as a curator, she had the problem, what kind artist she wants. She maybe asked other people, and some people not wanted to meet concurrents, or, you know, the press can make them down or whatever, and she feels like, oh, Bruno, I know can do, she loves really Sigmar Polke at that time. And I know can put Sigmar Polke against Tintoretto will be a disaster, you know, she not want to do that. And then she got me that chance or asked me, and they're like, well, I know, I don't have fears about this old master. I have no fears. I can do it. Even in Switzerland, some artists, oh, Bruno, I never do it. Why you can do it? I don't know. Maybe they have some another idea about old famous painter. I have no fears anymore. If somebody put me next to the Picasso, I don't have problems. Some people have hand brought. I don't have.
Only Picasso will have a problem.
Maybe the Picasso.
Do you get performance? Do you get nervous before performances or no?
Yeah, sometimes.
You do.
Sometimes. Sometimes it's a little the pressure, and either we make a couple times. Sometimes I don't have fears anymore for the people. I don't know if something go bad, or I don't know. In Paris, Hans was saving me there in that space.
Oh.
I was sick.
You were sick? You ate something?
I was eating in the afternoon something, and then I was coming really bad. And I was stepping out of the performance, and Hans was playing 45 minutes, and then I coming back. I have some tea somewhere. The gallerist got me tea, and so then I go back and make performance, and it was
sick again, and I
it's that. It was live.
You're great partners, that's for sure. Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, before the Hans, I have in my studio, sometimes I have music and regular modern music or whatever, what Mark Safan mentioned.
Rolling Stone
or whatever. From a tape, and then I may paint it at that time. And then suddenly I felt, yeah, Hans makes beautiful music too and everything, and why not I use his music?
Yeah, I made music also for 1991 for Noritoshi Hirakawa. He's actually quite famous photographer.
Oh, wow.
He made also videos, and he was asking me for music for one of his videos.
Yeah,
you know, and that was also shown in
Venice,
at the MoMA, and in Venice. He was in Venice, and so you know there is usually, but I didn't do anything. You know, I made some private. I didn't, because I'm not a pianist in that sense. You know, I mean I'm playing the piano, but I'm not a real pianist. You know what I'm saying? So I did sometimes some gigs, maybe, you know, for the ambassador of Switzerland at the private residence. The best concert concert was not a concert, was just playing for the aperitif, you know, with Christo and Robert Frank. They were invited when he made the gates. They were asking me if I would play the piano, you know, and then before dinner, and I said, yeah, okay, and you know, so I made this type of things, you know, and it was always fun, you know.
I just have a question for Hans for a second. When you paint, are you as conceptual? Are you thinking, I mean, like Bruno is like, you are like one of the most thoughtful people, intellectual people that I've ever encountered, especially in the art world. Are you thinking like Bruno thinks when you're painting with actual paint, or you're
No, I think completely different.
Okay. So you let Bruno do
I don't understand his brain, actually. You know, when I met him, you know, it was maybe 91 or whatever, and through a mutual friend, and so he was saying, I do invisible paintings, you know. And I said, okay, so you're more a philosopher. You know, I want to compliment him in a way, but also saying, okay, that's philosophy, that's fine, but that's not painting. And then he said, well, let's have a coffee, you know, in the near future. So when we met again, you know, the first thing he in a way said, listen, you said I'm a philosopher. I said, I'm not a philosopher. I'm a painter.
Yeah,
And then I was kind of, you know what I'm saying? Then I had to think about
yeah, I love it. Yeah.
going on here, you know. So, you know, and you know, it's interesting.
For those of us that are new to this genre, would you call this conceptual art or performance art? What is this type of art usually called?
Performance.
No.
Performance or?
Yeah, sometimes you use that word. The performances for me are a bit different. I know performance artists, they're doing differently, and I feel they're much more performance than I am. I see still as a painter.
Okay.
I would declare it in a way as conceptual.
Yes,
Conceptual.
I would call it
You too,
conceptual.
Mark?
You know, let's say that when I play the piano, as Mark said, it's not, you know, it's not, it is, I'm like his third eye, a camera. I'm there integrated as a piano, with doing an audio thing in life, you know, it's not, I'm in his sculpture in a way.
Right.
Understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in his world.
But I'm in his work, and I'm a part, like all his parts are all as important. You know, the empty paper is as important as the moving camera from him, or something blubbering here.
Yeah, except
Everything is like, you know, he is everything equal.
yes, but
Not for the viewer, because the music, of course, is a little bit holds you up. You know, some people would probably leave the performance earlier if there would be no music. I would say, I would argue, you know, because it keeps you going. You know, it's like you know, it has a trance. It's like as you mentioned, it could be like ping pong pong, or more a rhythm, like say boom 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 boom. You know, you keep it's like audio keeps you going. Also in movies, you know, in lots of movies, without music, the movie would be, it would be boring or whatever, you know, after a while.
Hans, we don't agree with you. You're not just another piece.
No, I'm not saying another piece, but I think, you know, I feel like a brush or you know what I'm saying?
On the positive.
Yeah, in a positive way. No, it's not, you know, it's not.
I know where you live. I could come there and upside the head. But Mark, what were you just going to say? Can we interrupt?
I was just going to say, no, I think that Hans described it very well. And yeah, but I was going to say that it's not just another element, because music bypasses certain kinds of critical thinking. It goes straight to a different part of it. It goes straight to a different part of the brain. It bypasses, you know, an intellectual or rational, you know, part of our brain. It's instinctive, which is why it's used in films, because it tells you how to feel. And so I'm just saying that music is different from the other elements that we see visually, which we can kind of, you know, put into kind of an intellectual framework or structural framework or whatever, and think about. Music, we can't do that while it's happening, right? Because it's affecting us. It's insistent. So music is different. It's more primary.
I agree.
It has, you know, it's powerful. Music is powerful.
It is indeed very.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I asked the original question. I never thought about that before. You know, I always thought this is Bruno, you know, and Hans is, you know, he's playing the cocktail piano, you know, And but this is not the case. It
Oh.
really is. They really do function together.
Yes.
There's a synchronicity to it.
Yeah, yeah.
It synchronizes in a very unexpected way. It's, I can't properly explain it, but it's a necessary part of what we're seeing, but we're not seeing it, we're hearing it.
Yeah.
It's so strange to even speak that way.
But
Yeah,
I like that, and I mean, I like when there is collaboration, and I think it's really interesting because you're bringing two worlds together, which creates something, different, something else, and and so you see that. I mean, I've been watching the Beatles, these re-released, tapes called Get Back, and you realize that all of these people working together that are bringing different things together are creating something that is much larger than any one of them could have created independently. And although it's, for them, I mean, it lasted a short, period of time, like 7 years or 8 years or whatever it was, that, what happened was, something that was outside of the reach, of each of them. There was a chemistry. And I think that the same is true, in collaborations that work. You're bringing two different things together. So, whereas like certain artists, can become very self-referential, right? And repetitive, and in this case, something else is happening that keeps it from becoming, too self-referential, let's say, or too repetitive.
Yes.
Keeps it very fresh. I love how you said all that, Mark.
Oh,
That was really well said. Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
But I mean, there's so many other levels on which, Bruno's work and the work of both of you operate, which we haven't even touched on. But, because I think, as I said initially, I love the way your work is somehow an extension of a part of the art world, and your references to squares, and blank squares, and the brush, of course, and water as a vehicle, and and even when you're painting water on these plates or whatever it is, and then holding them up to the light, and then holding them up to the camera, and all of a sudden it's this ephemeral Rothko that sort of appears and disappears. And then there's like a little ephemeral, so there's all these little references that come. Maybe it's just me seeing that, but I don't think so, right? I think it's part of what happens, not even necessarily deliberately, but the conditions exist for that to happen, for those, things to appear and disappear, like a Franz Klein, or a Redon, or something. These little references that have to do with our language of painting, exist in this very ephemeral, drop of water in which you're exploring,
of the sculpture, a drop. When you
it's a drop. You're inside of a drop of water,
or it's inside the water.
Yeah.
Drop.
And it's like reflecting and refracting all of art history. Everything is moving, and reflected and refracted inside of this little drop of water. It's really fun. It's really fun, and it's fun to think about. It's fun to experience.
Seeing and re-seeing.
Yeah. And it's fun to be there and participate with you.
Because I missed something. I want to go back and catch it again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really inspired me.
If I can.
Not limit myself too in the way I create art.
Yeah.
So I feel like I want to open up my mind to new opportunities, new possibilities. So it's really, to me, really inspired me.
Well, I
So
think
thank
what you
you.
just said to think about, because what you realize is in Bruno's case, art is thoughtful. You know, we frequently think that art has to be visceral all the time. It's got to be visceral. If it's not visceral, it isn't the real deal. But it doesn't have to be visceral in that kind of cliched, you know, abstract expressionist sense. Art can also be thoughtful and poetic.
That's what I see.
Yes.
For me, sometimes it's, you know, I always told Hans, for me, it's not, sometimes I don't need public. I can make the performance either where I'm in the Alps or somewhere, or on a lake without people. The stones are my friends. The grass can be, that's why we started with the leaves from Central Park. The film starts today where we saw painting in the Central Park, the leaves. And they were one time they are green, and then in the fall, the color changed. That's what fascinated me too, you know, in the nature. It's a lot of nature in my thing too, because it's changed the color. You know, the cherries are green when they're small, and then they red or black. It's like, or strawberries are green, and then on the end they are red. You know.
Yeah.
And the leaves changed moisture, changed shape with moisture. And light.
Exactly.
This constant change that you can examine and you could live in. And that makes my life, I don't know about it, anybody else's, but it's just so wonderful to be alive, to be able to sense all these wonderful feelings that you, and what you see is just precious. It's precious.
Right.
I also have to say, I love the comparisons you're making between food and art.
I didn't hear anything about pizza, but
I'm not against the visual. I'm not against the visual. You know, I like real painting, and going, I still see a lot of either people paint real, you know, like a figure or abstract form.
Sure.
I'm not against them. They still, I doing something a little bit different, or I don't know.
I think we're also talking about the joy, the small, wonderful joys that people who have artistic vision, perhaps, or artistic feelings, think about. A beautiful leaf, a gorgeous sunset. I just, you know, the arrangement of the stones in these concentric circles that you see in Europe, and the herringbone floor that I saw in one of the places that you did your performance.
I love that floor.
Yeah.
Oh,
In Lucerne.
That's great.
Yeah.
Was Lucerne.
yeah. These are small things that people who may not have that sensitivity, the visual sensitivity or the thought sensitivity, to take this joy, to capture this joy out of these mundane moments.
Right.
You know, it's just,
They
it's,
just,
some days
they
it's
just
just,
put you in another place that's just
and that makes your life worth living.
Yeah.
like hearing a bar of music
Yeah.
unexpectedly.
No
And
way.
even when you see these forms, I hear music. It's just, it's a wonderful place to be.
do you guys know Eckhart Tolle?
Yes.
The Power of Now.
Yeah.
I think that he's a philosopher, German philosopher, so I'm saying his name wrong. Eckhart.
I think that's right.
Is it Tolle? Okay.
Yeah.
And Barbara knows all about him. And I think that what you enable us to do is stay in the power of now, to see things as we're experiencing in the present.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what great art does. And
Mhm.
I think you guys are a phenomenal collaborative art team. And I just want to thank you, because to get me, just speaking for myself, to be able to forget about everything else and enjoy a leaf that you're painting on, and showing us to do that is so powerful. And you got me to be in the now, to be in the present. I wasn't thinking about anything else, but I was just enjoying the journey. So
Yeah.
it was just,
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.